All right, good morning in the Americas, good evening in Asia, good afternoon in Europe and Africa. It's exactly 4 p.m. here in Nairobi. Time for Citizen TV Briefs. My name is Jimmy Mbogo. Let's get you informed on some of the stories making headlines across the country. Now, 11 people have died after a light aircraft crashed in Kwale County. The early morning accident occurred moments after the plane took off from Diani for the Masai Mara. The Kenya Civil Aviation Authority has confirmed the 8:25 a.m. accident and indicated that emergency services had been deployed to the crash site. Investigation into the fatal crash have been initiated. The air travel company Mombasa Air Safari has revealed that the dead were Hungarian, German and Kenyan citizens. The Kwale County Commissioner Stephen Orinde has indicated that it had been a rainy and misty at the time of the crash. Our deepest condolences to the family that have lost loved ones. Now, moving on, more than 30,000 families in Garissa County are facing severe food and water shortage following a prolonged drought caused by 4 consecutive failed rain seasons. Speaking at an emergency meeting involving county leaders and stakeholders, Governor Nathif Jama said that the drought has endangered the lives of humans, livestock and even wild animals. He called on the national government and humanitarian organizations to intervene before the situation gets worse.
The situation of the drought is extremely biting. It's becoming extremely hard for the pastoralist communities and for many settlements. At the moment, we are sounding that 18 of our 30 wards are severely hit, and we are tracking water to more than 200 settlements.
It is a situation that is getting dire, and a lot of support is required so that we safeguard or protect our people, our livestock and our wildlife. So really we want to call upon all partners to come in and actively engage so that we are able to alleviate this situation.
We have engaged all available resources at the county level through the county government and its partners, NDMA and national government included. But we feel that considering also the rains that we are expecting, the MAM rains, which will start in a week's time, it's again forecasted to be below normal. And that puts us as a very precarious situation as a county.
Now, 6 suspects, including 4 Iranians, arrested in connection to 8.2 billion shillings narcotics seized in the Indian Ocean, have been remanded for 30 days to allow police to conclude investigation into the drug haul. Shanzu Senior Magistrate Anthony Mushigi granted orders to allow security agencies more time for investigation. The investigating team also pleaded with the court to have the electronic gadgets belonging to the suspects be taken through a forensic analysis in their push to unmask the ringleaders involved in the multi-billion shilling drug trade. The suspects, however, rejected their previous interpreter, accusing him of misrepresenting their statements. The court also directed that they be given medical attention. The matter will be mentioned on the 14th of November.
And to establish the welfare of the respondents. Respondents be accorded medical examination and treatment at state expense. 14th of November they come back so that he can update us, to mention the matter, for him to update us. If he's facing other challenges, he will explain that to us so that we can make orders accordingly.
Now, University of Nairobi student leaders and a section of students have demanded that the government pay striking lecturers by Wednesday or first protest from students in public universities on Thursday. Now, the students are calling for urgent intervention by the Ministry of Education to end the ongoing lecturer strike that has disrupted learning in public universities.
Giving you 24 hours, compensate our injured comrades. Number 2, you have to pay our lecturers so that we are back in class. Failure to which, on Thursday, Comrades, on Thursday, we have a mega demonstration.
And we want to tell the government that if you will not listen to the plights of comrades, if you will not listen to the cries of comrades, the down will be bigger than words. I want to say that the students are in a state of apalangewa. They cannot even learn, they cannot do anything. We demand to be in class. Too much of peace is dangerous. So we are telling those who don't want to pay our lecturers, we will be on the streets.
Now, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, has recovered 7.11 hectares of grabbed Karura forest land worth 2.8 billion shillings. The property reverts to the public after a landmark ruling by the Environment and Land Court in Nairobi. On Wednesday, EACC CEO Abdi Ahmed handed back the grabbed land, including part reserved for the Kenya Technical Trainers College, KTTC, to the Kenya Forest Service ahead of the issuance of a new title deed. Now, the land was illegally allocated to a former cabinet minister in the Moi era. EACC says it is pursuing recovery of more public land grabbed by former and current political figures.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission interacted with this case from 2007. So we have been in court for 18 years. On 23rd of October this year, we've won this particular case, and this parcel of the two parcels of land, which was later amalgamated into one, was recovered back to the public. And we will ensure that we recover all assets that are illegally allocated, whether presently or in future. And we want to, inform the public, and specifically public officials who tend to grab public property, that eventually, it may take a while, but eventually that property will be reverted back to the public.
Some good progress there from the EACC. Now, moving on, President William Ruto has given an amnesty to bandits with illegal firearms to return them to the government before the crackdown to mop them up from the civilians begin. Now, the president, who spoke in Marigat, Baringo County earlier today during his tour of the region, also lauded his new working relationship with KANU chairman Gideon Moi.
Tayari tumeletewa ama wamerejesha bunduki 600. Bado tunajua tuko na bunduki zingine ambazo hazijakuja, ambazo bado zinatuletea matatizo. Mimi nataka niwaambie, tunataka wananchi waishi kwa amani. Tunataka wakulima waendelee na biashara yao na wafugaji. Tunataka watoto wetu wasome, tujenge uchumi, tuendeshe Kenya. Mambo ya vita, mambo ya kupiganisha wananchi, mambo ya insecurity, hiyo maneno nimesema tutakomesha. Tunajua imekuwa hapa kwa miaka karibu 30, but imefika siku ya mwisho, na siku ya mwisho ndio sasa. Tunaelewana watu wa Baringo? Si hawa watu kila mtu arudishe bunduki kama maneno bado haijaharibika? Warudishe namna hiyo? Na wasijidanganye. Sisi tunajua kila mmoja mwenye yako na bunduki. Don't cheat yourself. And we are going to come for it. Tutakuja kuchukua bunduki. Either ulete mapema ama tutachukua bunduki na
Now, KANU chairman Gideon Moi has rallied African countries to rise above radical populism and instead embrace cooperation that is equitable and alliances that respect the sovereignty of their respective countries. Moi was speaking during the Democracy Union of Africa Forum 2025, where he also underscored that Africa should be a serious participant in improving democracy in the world while respecting the rule of law. Former Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo reiterated the important role of democracy in Africa. The event honored incarcerated Tanzanian opposition leader Tundu Lissu as a champion of democracy in Africa.
The Doha Forum has evolved into one of Africa's most consequential spaces for dialogue and collaboration. It is here that noble ideas converge, continental partnerships are forged, and the pathway for Africa's democratic and economic renewal is carved.
Our dialogue today is about more than diplomacy. It is about redesigning relationships that have too often been asymmetrical, moving from dependency to partnerships and competition to cooperation and from isolated national interests to a unified continental voice.
From Accra's Reflection Forum on unconstitutional changes to today's deliberations, we have said the same thing in many ways. Democracy is not a Western nicety. It is an African necessity for peace and prosperity.
Now, the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, KNCCI, is spearheading a new drive to boost local egg production and cut the country's dependence on imports amid an annual deficit of 5 billion eggs. Kenya produces about 4 billion eggs annually against a demand of 9 billion, forcing the country to rely heavily on imports to meet consumption needs. To bridge this gap, KNCCI has partnered with South Africa's Truth Black Agri-House Group and local agri-investment firm Novel Blooms to scale up poultry production. The partnership plans to utilize 1.8 million acres of land from the Agriculture Development Corporation for feed crop and poultry production.
This partnership will not only focus on poultry farming, but we're also going to look at agri-imports and exports between Kenya and South Africa. Kenya wants to expand its access to the South African market. We have premium tea, coffee, horticulture, like fresh cut flowers. We want to have them go in deeply into the South African market. And also for South Africa, we can be able to import their fresh fruits, nuts, and even their agri-technologies. Already what we see Truth Black doing is hydroponic and aquaponic farming. So the technologies that they use, we are willing and ready to incorporate it into our nation. So this is just not going to focus on poultry, but we're also going to look at the entirety of the agricultural sector.
We would only want Kenyan government to give an enabling environment, which we've discussed various ways. One is we need to, if we get investor, we need to get at a cheaper land rent or land leasing should be affordable, and also the chicken or poultry feeding should be affordable in terms of production and in terms of taxes. So those are some of the ways we are trying to see that we are going to close the gap.
Employees of Postal Corporation staged a demonstration in Machakos to protest unpaid salaries. Led by Communication Workers Union Secretary General Nicholas Wambua, the workers held demonstration outside the Machakos GPO, now housing the Huduma Center, accusing their employer of neglect and injustice. They claim 6-month salary delays have left them unable to feed their families or pay bills, with unremitted statutory deduction worsening the situation. The workers say the strike, which is part of a nationwide postal workers protest, will continue until the 560 million shilling arrears are paid.
Ile kazi tulikuwa tunafanya kama courier services zimechukuliwa na other private sectors. Kwa hivyo tunaomba serikali itusaidie hiyo kazi irudi katika idara yetu ya posta.
We are not relenting. We are going back home until he calls off the strike, until all the salaries have been paid.
Now, former Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i on Monday led a delegation of Kisii and Nyamira counties to Opoda Farm to condole with the family of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. The delegation, which comprised governors, legislators and elders, was received by Raila's widow Mama Aida Odinga and later proceeded to Kang'o Kajaramogi, where they laid flowers at Raila's grave. In his speech, Matiang'i described Raila as a towering figure whose legacy transcends region. The delegation included Nyamira Governor Amos Nyaribo, Kisii Senator Richard Onyonka, former Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu, among others. Meanwhile, Uriri MP Mark Nyamita also led a delegation from Migori County to pay tribute.
We will contribute as nationals of Kenya, and especially nationals of Kenya from this part of our country, to that big vision, to that effort of immortalizing the contribution and the life of Prime Minister Raila Odinga.
We feel strength when we see all of you who come and visit with us. Baba was really loved, especially in Kisii County.
And across our borders, where Ivory Coast President Alassane Ouattara has secured a fourth term following an election in which two of his biggest challengers were barred from running. Provisional results released on Monday showed that Ouattara, 83, won 89.8% of the votes. His close challenger, businessman Gilles-Louis Billion, came a distant second with only 3.09% in an election that recorded 50% turnout. Ouattara's first assumed office in 2011 following Laurent Gbagbo's arrest after his refusal to accept defeat in 2010 election. He was originally restricted to serving 2 terms, but a 2016 constitutional overhaul allowed him to seek re-election in 2020 in a vote that was boycotted by the opposition. All right, and that's all we have for you on Citizen TV Briefs at this hour. More details will be coming your way later on at 7 and on The Explainer with Yvonne Okwara. Thanks for watching. That's all we have for you.